So, a very good evening. Okay, a very good evening to all of you. I hope I'm audible. Okay. So, welcome to the platform of Palmu Made Easy. This is a PG residency program which we had started in August 2024. Our core purpose was to make you people solve the last 10 years question papers of DNB examinations, because we know passing DNB rate is a bit difficult task. We know there are a lot of hectic duties, lot of hectic schedules in which the students do face, and they do not get time to study. You do not get time to study complete Fishman, slides, so many articles, latest research papers, and many more things that are being going to be asked in your DNB examinations. As you all know, the exams of DNBs are a bit tricky. The questions are a bit difficult as compared to MD students. Plus, the recent advanced papers are always a trickier examination. So, a lot of students trusted Mentora. They joined us, and successfully we have completed our first core batch of last 10 years DNB, and those students appeared in the June 2025 exams, and they thankfully and they were very happy with their examinations. All of them have conducted their exams very well, and we are hoping that all of them pass out with good results. So not only for DNB, we are also running a theory course for all MD students, because we know that reading in residency is difficult, and reading with concepts is very, very important for all of you. So Team Mentora welcomes you all under one roof, and let's all beat the passing percentage of DNB this time. So we work for the students to achieve excellence. This is the only platform that has come up with a unique solution of last 10 years DNB question banks. So join us and study your subject in the most interesting way, and believe me, not a single question from last 10 years question papers will be left. We are covering 100% questions from 2013 to 2025. Each and every question is being covered either in the class or in the form of notes, or we are providing direct PDF answers of a lot of questions which are not so important to be discussed in the class. So in total, through our videos, through our PDF notes, we are covering the entire 10-year syllabus. So get a complete solution of last 10-year DNB question bank, get thorough knowledge of your subject, clear all your doubts with your faculty in live classes, make complete notes yourself with the faculties, and we have our Mentora app which is available on Google Play Store for iOS users also. All the recorded lectures are updated on our Mentora app, so anytime you can go through our app, watch our videos, and take the notes. So Team Mentora has come up with this unique idea of solution of 10-year DNB question bank, and we have also come up with a theory course in which we will be covering the entire Fishman that is important for all MD and DNB students. The course is beneficial for all DNB and MD students as the questions are being asked in the exams. So something about DNB, as you all know, DNB is a centralized exam in which your answer sheet will be checked by different examiners all across India. One exam of DNB will have 4 papers. Your first paper will be of anatomy and physiology, second and third paper will be of clinical, and last paper is of recent advances. Each paper will have 10 questions. Each question has 2 parts. Sometimes single question of 10 marks also come. For every question, you will get only 2.5 pages. That is, no extra page will be given for DNB exams. The time limit for one paper is only 180 minutes. So for per question, you will be getting approximately 17 to 18 minutes for finishing. If you don't know any answer, you leave the page and come back to the same question at the last. Don't waste time in thinking about the answer. All the 10 questions are detachable, and 2 questions will be checked by one examiner. So total 5 examiners will check questions, and that is why it is very important to write the answers in a proper sequence. You cannot change the sequence of questions because every examiner will have a separate set of questions. So don't change the sequence of questions. If the sequence is changed, the particular question will not be checked. It will be unmarked. Try to attempt each and every question. No gap will be given in any paper. All the 4 papers occur simultaneously, and that is why you have to prepare for all the papers well before your exams. Now, why choose us? What is the importance of joining Mentora? Because we are the first one to understand your needs, because we once upon a time were residents just like you. We were having hectic duties, hectic schedules just like you, and we have passed through the same stage as you are going right now. We can guide you very well how to clear your DNB and MD exams. complete solution of pulmonary medicine with question and answers, one-to-one discussion. There will be doubt solving sessions. We have a dedicated WhatsApp group in which every day we are discussing practical based questions. We put spotters, we put clinical cases, we put videos, we put x-rays, CT scans, a lot of questions we put every day. The students healthily participate in the discussion. They give answers, whatever answers they know, whether right or wrong. All the students, they actively participate and give answers. And finally, we give them a proper answer how to give in their vivas, how to present themselves in their practical exam. So this is not only a theory based platform, it is a practical based platform also, because every day clinical cases are being discussed through our students in our practical group. So theories through our classes, many PDF answers, and a lot of practical questions being discussed every day. So we have our offer is going right now. Our fees is 15,000 for both DNB and theory course, but at present we are providing it only for 12,000. Total duration is of 1 year. These are our two courses. One is the theory coverage classes, one is the DNB class. In the DNB online coaching class, we solve question and answers. One question, answer. One question, one answer, in that way. I'll be solving one or two questions right now so that you'll be getting an orientation. In the theory coverage classes, we take a complete topic at a time. Okay, for suppose I am taking respiratory failure. In one class, I'll take complete respiratory failure. If I am taking rheumatoid arthritis, I'll take complete rheumatoid arthritis. So I'll be covering complete Fishman in both the courses, in DNB also and theory also. But in theory, I will be going topic wise. This is more beneficial for MD students and all the freshers of MD and DNB who want to study, who want to prepare a base, who want to know the basics. For that, the theory coverage is very important. But for exam going DNB students, especially if you are in second year, almost your second year is going to be completed, or you are coming in third year and your exams are upcoming in next 6 to 7 months, the TNB course is a boon for you, because each and every answer will be provided, and believe me, 80 to 90% of the questions are repeated. This time, June 2025, 90% of the questions were repeated from previous year question papers, and each and every question was being covered in the class. Not a single question, even from recent advances, not a single question came for which the answers was not given by a faculty. So everything was covered in total. So we are two faculties who are teaching. Myself, Dr. Shazia Khan, I am MD Pulmonary Medicine. I have done my residency from BGMC Ahmedabad. Currently, I am working as assistant professor in AIIMS Udaipur. And Dr. Shweta Anand, she has done DNB from NITRD New Delhi, and currently she is in Delhi State Cancer Institute as assistant professor. One more important thing before going to the questions, Mentora is now available on Google Play Store. You can download our app. You can go through our free videos, which are also being uploaded on our Mentora app. For iOS users also, we provide the link, and many free videos also we have uploaded, and all those who want to enroll, they can enroll, and all the recorded links of the theory course as well as the DNB course, they are being uploaded on the Mentora app. So let's all get united. The entire pulmonary medicine team gets united, and let's make this journey of residency easy. So now I'll be solving one or two questions, a demo question. So please open your registers, open your pens, and please make notes with me properly. Okay, so please all of you open your registers and notes with me. So October 2024, DNB exam was held and a question was being asked that was hepatopulmonary syndrome. The question was being asked as a 10 marks question and you are getting 2.5 pages to write the answers. Okay, 2.5 from front and 2.5 from back. That means you get total of 5 pages to write the exams. Okay, so how will you attempt the answer of this question of hepatopulmonary syndrome? So what is hepatopulmonary syndrome? So your first heading will be an introduction of this hepatopulmonary syndrome. So what is the introductory part? This hepatopulmonary syndrome has a triad of 3 things. What is the triad? One is abnormal arterial oxygenation. Okay, and why this abnormal arterial oxygenation occurs? This occurs because of intrapulmonary vascular dilatations. Intrapulmonary vascular dilatations. Okay, the second thing, it is the name itself suggests it is hepatopulmonary. That means 2 things are there. One is the hepato part, that is the liver part, and second is the kidney part. So both the things are involved in this. So second is associated with liver disease, and third, it is having portal hypertension, or you can say congenital portosystemic shunts. Okay, so these are the 3 triad of hepatopulmonary syndrome. Abnormal arterial oxygenation because of intrapulmonary vascular dilatations, liver disease, and third is portal hypertension or congenital portosystemic shunt. What is the etiology behind this? The second part of this topic, causes kya honge? So one, as the name suggests, there will be chronic liver disease because it is hepatopulmonary. Now this chronic liver disease, now again it can be because of various reasons. This can be because of autoimmune hepatitis, or it can be because of congenital liver disease, right? Okay. Okay, moving ahead. So chronic liver disease is one of the etiology, and why this chronic liver disease occurs? This can occur because of autoimmune hepatitis, or there can be congenital liver disorder. Second, the etiology and the name suggests, it is portal hypertension. Okay. So basically these are the two etiologies. The primary pathology is in liver, and this can cause disease in your lungs also. That is why the name is hepatopulmonary syndrome. So what is the pathophysiology behind this? So there is increased bacterial translocation okay, plus there are toxins which are being released. Okay, what are the toxins released? There are release of certain vasoactive mediators. These are all toxins. Release of vasoactive mediators. Okay, these are nitric oxide, these are carbon monoxide, these are TNF alpha. Okay, and these vasoactive mediators like nitric oxide, carbon monoxide, TNF alpha, all these vasoactive mediators, they will cause what? They will cause pulmonary vasodilatation. As you all know, nitric oxide causes vasodilatation, so they will cause pulmonary vasodilatation, or they will cause angiogenesis. Okay. Now what happens? The liver is already damaged, so now these liver will not be able to clear all these vasodilators. Okay, so failure of your damaged liver to clear circulating vasodilators. Okay, so this is the complete pathogenesis. Now you can see the primary pathogenesis is in the liver. Okay, there is bacterial translocation in the liver. The liver is diseased because the patient has either any autoimmune disorder or he is having any congenital liver disorder. So there is increased bacterial translocation in the liver, and now what happens? There is release of vasoactive mediators. There is a release of inflammatory mediators like nitric oxide, carbon monoxide, TNF alpha. These will cause pulmonary vasodilatation, angiogenesis, and ultimately, as the liver is damaged, now this liver will not work properly. Your normal healthy liver will clear all these materials, but now your liver is so diseased that it will not be able to clear all these vasoactive mediators. So there will be accumulation of these circulating vasodilators in the liver, and these will cause angiogenesis. These will cause pulmonary vasodilatation, and when this pulmonary vasodilatation occurs, ultimately this will lead to abnormal arterial oxygenation, as we had studied in our first point. Okay, so I think through the entire pathophysiology, the picture is clear that there will be damaged liver. Damaged liver will release damaged substances. Damaged substances will damage your pulmonary vessels, and once the pulmonary vessels will get damaged, they will cause damage in the pulmonary oxygenation, and hence the name given is hepatopulmonary syndrome, because कहानी शुरू होती है liver से और खत्म होती है आपके lungs के ऊपर. That's a primary disease is the liver, which is not working properly, which is causing toxins to be accumulated inside the liver, and it will cause release of vasoactive mediators, which will cause angiogenesis, and this damaged liver will keep on accumulating all these inflammatory mediators, and ultimately it will lead to defect in your arterial oxygenation, and there will be hepatopulmonary shunt formation. This is the pathogenesis of hepatopulmonary syndrome. So primary disease is not the lung, but it is the liver. So just write all these things and then we'll move ahead. ठीक है. So 3 things we have covered in this question. One, we talked about the introduction, that is, there is a triad of hepatopulmonary syndrome and it includes 3 things: abnormal arterial oxygenation, second liver disease, third is portal hypertension. These are the triad. Then next point is the etiology. The primary etiology is the liver and not the lung. It is chronic liver disease, either due to congenital liver disease or due to autoimmune hepatitis. And second, it is portal hypertension. And third part is the pathogenesis, which we have all seen. Now what will happen? There is bacterial accumulation, there is release of vasoactive mediators, there is pulmonary vasodilation, and the liver is now tired. Now so many vasodilators are getting accumulated in the liver and liver getting tired and exhausted. What will happen? The things are not getting cleared in the liver. There will be VQ mismatch. Okay, because once the debris are being accumulated, the oxygenation will not occur properly, the lungs are not working properly, there will be VQ mismatch, and there is a formation of an anatomical shunt. Now this anatomical shunt is formed due to direct communication. There is a direct communication between your pulmonary arterial capillary bed and your pulmonary venous capillary bed. Okay, now what will happen after this? Already the things are getting so mismatched. Okay, the liver is highly dumped with debris, the pulmonary vessels are getting dilated, the shunt is being formed, okay, and there is no pathway to get escape from this. What will happen? The alveoli are already poorly ventilated, okay, because there are debris, there are dilatation, so there is no proper oxygenation in the alveoli. So there is a poor ventilated alveoli, and when the shunt will form, what will happen? There will be overperfusion of this poorly ventilated alveoli. So there will be overperfusion of poorly ventilated alveoli. Okay, now what will happen? Because the alveoli are already poorly ventilated, they are getting overperfused with debris, with all inflammatory materials, there will be worsening of VQ mismatch. So worsening of VQ mismatch, and this will cause diffusion limitation. This will cause orthodeoxia. Classical clinical finding of a patient of hepatorenal pulmonary syndrome is orthodeoxia, and the reason is the entire pathology behind this. Okay, write it down. All of you, please write it down. Whoever is attending today's class, at least write this one topic in your notes, so that when you read the topic, you will see that how properly and how presentably we are writing the answer. Just like this only we have to write in the exam. So please note the answer in your registers. You can see very well that how the examiner wants an answer. Everything should be in a heading wise, everything should be in a point wise, everything should be in a flow wise manner, so that your answer is getting presentable in front of the examiner. उसको पढ़ने के लिए ताकत नहीं लगानी पड़ेगी, है ना. आप जो लिखोगे वो अपने आप प्रेजेंटेबल होगा. You can see मैंने अभी तक एक भी पैराग्राफ नहीं लिखा है. I have not written a single paragraph. I have written points. I have made a flow chart. Okay, pathophysiology, I have made a complete flow chart. You can see it very clearly. So answer should be presentable. So write this much you write down. Okay, so what will be the next point after pathophysiology? Your clinical features will come now. So what are the clinical features of hepatopulmonary syndrome. So first, you know it is a two-part disorder. One is a liver disorder and second is a lung disorder in which there is oxygen impairment. Okay. So when this is a two-part disorder, the clinical features will also be automatically divided into two parts. One, there will be features of liver disease, and second, there will be features of your intrapulmonary vascular dilatation. So answer will be divided in the same way. So first, there will be features of chronic liver disease. Okay. So what are the features of chronic liver disease? Write it down. First, there will be weakness, there will be fatigue, patient will be tired, there will be anorexia, ascites, hepatic hydrothorax, okay, there will be splenomegaly, there will be palmar erythema, there will be jaundice, there will be nail changes, there will be digital clubbing, okay, there will be testicular atrophy, there will be spider nevi. Okay. Spider nevi are cutaneous lesions seen because of this portal hypertension. Most commonly they are seen on face, your neck and your upper extremity. So usually in the upper trunk you will find spider nevi. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again you can see point wise. Very specifically the answers is written. So patient को weakness होगा, ascites, hepatic hydrothorax होगा, splenomegaly होगी because the liver is not working. There will be skin in lesions, palmar erythema, jaundice will be there, spider nevi will be there. One more thing I forgot. What is orthodeoxia? I think all of you must know this. There will be oxygen desaturation in sitting position, and this is classically seen in hepatopulmonary syndrome. Okay. This is orthodeoxia. So all these are the clinical features of your liver disease. And second, there will be features of your intrapulmonary vascular dilatation because the disease is divided in two parts. So features will also be divided into two parts. So intrapulmonary vascular dilatations. तो क्या होगा? Most common symptom will be patient को oxygenation ही नहीं हो पा रहा, patient की arteries work नहीं कर रही, the pulmonary arteries are being dilated, there is no proper oxygenation. So what will happen? Dyspnea will happen to the patient. What will happen? As I've already told, orthodeoxia. What is orthodeoxia? Orthodeoxia is desaturation in sitting position. This is very specific for your hepatopulmonary syndrome. Okay, there can be platypnea also. Platypnea means increased dyspnea in upright position. Patient is getting relieved when he is in supine position, he is in recumbent position. ठीक है. So platypnea और orthodeoxia में difference क्या रह गया फिर? What is platypnea? Platypnea का मतलब होता है increase in dyspnea, मतलब symptom decrease हो रहा है, increase हो रहा है. ठीक है. Whereas orthodeoxia का मतलब हो रहा है कि there is decrease in oxygen saturation, and the drop of oxygen saturation is more than 4 mmHg when the patient is in supine position, in sitting position. That means your arterial oxyhemoglobin desaturation occurs, and this is around 3 to 5%. This means orthodeoxia. Okay? So dyspnea is a clinical finding, orthodeoxia is your ABG finding. ठीक है. जब आप ABG में देखोगे तो आपको पता चलेगा कि ऑक्सीजन desaturation हो रहा है. And when the patient take two ABGs, sit, make the patient sit, make the patient supine. When you take two different ABGs, one in sitting, one in supine position, you will see the difference of around 3 to 5% in your arterial oxygen saturation. And when you make the patient in sitting position, there will be more dyspnea to the patient. इसको हम बोलते हैं platypnea. ठीक है, बट आप जब इस पेशेंट को सुलाओगे, लेटाओगे, तो पेशेंट को अच्छा लगेगा. सो पेशेंट गेट्स इम्प्रूव, या यू कैन सी पेशेंट फील्स improved or feels better when returning to recumbent position. Okay, so patient will feel better when he lie down, but he will get discomfort when he will sit. So 80 to 90% of these patients will have orthodeoxia. Again, an important clinical features. Okay, now why this occurs in sitting position? The question now, whatever you are writing ना, अब why should always come in your mind कि ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है, क्यों यहाँ पे ऑर्थो वो नहीं हो रहा, ऑर्थोपनिया नहीं हो रहा, ऑर्थोडियोक्सिया हो रहा है, क्यों फ्लैटिपनिया हो रहा है, why this occurs? Why? Because this is caused by preferential perfusion of your intrapulmonary vascular dilatations, which disproportionately occurs in lung bases when your patient is upright. समझ रहे हो बात को? Have you got this thing? When your patient is in a sitting position, when he is sitting position, जो लंग का जो बेस बनता है ना, वहां पे परफ्यूजन जो होता है वो मिसमैच होता है, क्योंकि वहां की वेसल्स जो होती है वो पर्टिकुलरली डायलेट होने लग जाती है. ठीक है, एंड दैट इज व्हाई जब आपका पेशेंट अपराइट पोजीशन में होता है तो लंग, उसके बेस ऑफ द लंग पे जितनी भी वेसल्स हैं, ऑल दोज पल्मोनरी वेसल्स दे स्टार्ट गेटिंग डायलेटेड बिकॉज ऑफ द रिलीज ऑफ इन्फ्लेमेटरी मीडिएटर्स बाय योर लिवर. The liver is not able to clear all your nitric oxide and all your inflammatory mediators, and all those inflammatory mediators, they are coming and getting accumulated in the base of the lung. And when the patient is in sitting position, all those vessels, all those pulmonary vessels, they start getting dilated, and there is pulmonary angiogenesis and VQ mismatch at that point only when the patient is sitting, and that is why orthodeoxia occurs. So this can be asked any point of time in your YY exams ke why patient ko orthodeoxia hota है and why is not having orthopnea. So you should have an answer of every why. ठीक है? And one more clinical features, because there is pulmonary VQ mismatch, there is desaturation, तो obvious सी बात है, there will be hypoxemia. जितना ज़्यादा shunt, more is the shunt, more is the hypoxemia part. ठीक है? Now after clinical features, you have to go for imaging. What you find on radiology? So first you will go for chest X-ray PA view, and you can find bilateral basilar interstitial markings. Again, this is because of your intrapulmonary vascular dilatations. This is due to intrapulmonary vascular dilatations. ठीक है, इसी को जब आप CT scan पे देखोगे, so on HRCT what you will find one is your dilated peripheral pulmonary vessels. Okay, and because the pulmonary vessels are getting dilated, there is increase in pulmonary artery to bronchus ratio. ठीक है, there is no much use of CTPA in this because there is no embolism. And when you go for PFTs, you will find restrictive impairment. Okay, and your DLCO will also be impaired. So these are your radiology and your PFT findings of your hepatopulmonary syndrome. So you can understand the importance of making you write an answer. Why I'm not showing a ready-made PPT? I could have made a ready-made PPT and I could have told you to take a screenshot, but I am writing and I want you to make right, because this is the only way you have to write in your exams. And believe me, अगर आप writing की practice नहीं करोगे ना, आप exam में भी कभी लिख नहीं पाओगे. A lot of students have lost the ability to write because your DNB institutes में क्या होता है कि typing होती है. You type the prescriptions, you type the history of the patient, and you have forgotten how to write. And straight away after 3 years, if you come and sit in exams and write, you won't be able to write your answer. Plus, when you write and make your own notes, when you make your own handwriting notes, you will learn much more easier. These notes will only help you to revise at the end of your exams. Before the end of your exams, at the last moment revision, your notes will only work properly. So every question is to be written so beautifully that the examiner is reading it very carefully. See, I have written each and every point, not a single paragraph, nothing. And now finally, to summarize each and everything, all should be present. What all things should be present? One, there should be an evidence of your liver disease. So evidence of presence of liver disease. Second, there should be an evidence of impaired oxygenation. कैसे पता चलेगा? ABG से. Take a supine ABG and take a sitting ABG. You will find orthodeoxia in 80 to 90% of the patients. And there should be intrapulmonary vascular abnormalities, which you can see on CT scans. Okay? All these things should be present to label it as hepatopulmonary syndrome. And the final part is your management part. Okay? So, as I've already told in the beginning, what is the primary culprit in this? Liver is the primary culprit. So what will be your definitive treatment? Your definitive treatment will be liver transplantation. ठीक है? Second, because क्या हो रहा है यहाँ पे? Hypoxemia हो रहा है, pulmonary oxygen desaturation हो रहा है. So you have to give LTOT to your patient. So long-term oxygen supplementation to be given. ठीक है? Monitor this patient who is on LTOT every 6 to 12 months. Do regular ABGs. Do 6-minute walk test to see the desaturation. Okay. So this is the ultimate management. You have to go for liver transplantation ultimately, and for oxygen mismanagement, you have to put the patient on LTOT. No other treatment is there for hepatopulmonary syndrome. So this completes our topic. So our class began with, for all the new students who have joined me, we had covered a question of hepatopulmonary syndrome, which was asked in October 2024. This was a 10-mark question, very precisely and to the point. You have to write the answer. First, you have to give the introduction, what is the triad. Then you have to give etiology 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you have to give pathogenesis. Pathogenesis, you have to make a flow chart. कहानियां नहीं लिखनी है, unnecessary paragraph नहीं निकले हैं. Very beautifully draw a flow chart कि examiner को अपने आप read करने में समझ में आए कि patient को bacterial translocation हुआ, उसकी वजह से क्या हुआ? There is release of toxins. उसकी वजह से क्या हुआ? Release of vasoactive mediators. What are the vasoactive mediators? These are nitric oxide, TNF alpha, carbon monoxide. What they will do? They will cause pulmonary vasodilatation. Why this? Again, what will happen because of this? The liver is already damaged. This will not be able to clear these vasodilators. Once the liver will not be able to clear these vasodilators, what will happen? These vasodilators will keep on accumulating in the liver and it will cause VQ mismatch. What will happen because of this VQ mismatch? There will be a shunt formation because of your direct communication in your pulmonary arteries and venous capillary bed. What will happen because of shunt formation? There will be mixing of blood. Arteries और veins का blood mix होता रहेगा. Artery blood and venous oxygenated and deoxygenated blood, they will keep on mixing. What will happen? The alveoli are already not getting perfused properly. They will get overburdened. So there will be overperfusion of poorly ventilated alveoli. What will happen because of this? There will be worsening further of this PQ. What will happen because of this? There is orthodeoxia. What is orthodeoxia? Deoxygenation in sitting position. Why in sitting position? Because when your patient is in sitting position, the lung-based pulmonary vessels are getting dilated and they will cause orthodeoxia and platypnea. Very clear, crystal clear? Okay? I think you are able to understand. I think the examiner is also able to read your answer. I think the picture is clear. कहीं कोई कहानी नहीं है. Then clinical features. The name itself suggests the disease is of two parts. One is the liver part, one is the lung part. So the clinical features also will be divided in two parts: features of liver disease, feature of lung disease. So what are the features of liver disease? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What are the features of liver disorder? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? Why this happens? The reason has been given. What is the radiology? You go for X-ray, go for CT scan, go for CTPA, go for PFTs. 1, 2, 3, 4 criteria. All these three should be present to label it as a HPS. And finally, the management part. Okay? 10 marks may the examiner will hardly cut your 1 to 2 marks, maybe because of your handwriting or something. Content ke basis pe, not a single mark will be cut. And so easy to write, so easy to remember. Like this way, we will be covering each and every question from all the last 10 years DNB question papers. Imagine hundreds of questions, hundreds of PDFs you will be getting in our classes, all the recordings you will be getting, because I know residency is hectic and you want to study in your convenient timing. So all the recordings are uploaded on our app. Plus, a dedicated WhatsApp group is there in which every day we are discussing practical based questions. Every day, some X-rays put, some CT scans are put, some clinical scenarios are put, and we force the students to answer so that they will run your mind. You will use your brains to answer. Whether it is correct or wrong, you will be giving answers to us and will be polishing you for your practical exams also. So this was the summary of my today's class. All the students who joined today, thank you so much for giving your time to Mentora. And as you are new to our platform, that is why this was just an orientation session. This was just one question and a demo I wanted to give you how we are going to deal with our classes and our questions. And in a similar way, we are also running our theory classes in which we will be covering all the topics in a theoretical wise, complete detailed topics. And in the DNB questions, we'll be covering each and every question in such a beautiful way only. So the platform is open for you all. And our batch is already running. One batch is already completed and the next batch is already running. All the videos are available. The live classes are also going weekly. So come and join us, take our registrations and make your residency easy. We don't want you to just pass your exams. We want you to become one of the best pulmonologists of your town, because the clinical knowledge is the only thing that will take you high in your entire lifetime also. So all the best for your futures. Whether you join or not, good luck for all of you, because we want each and every one of you to become a best pulmonologist of your town. Everyone should say, yes, this person has a knowledge, this person has a judgment of how to make a clinical diagnosis. Just don't go straight away, jump to investigation. Just see the clinical scene, see the history, take the history, find out everything, make a differential diagnosis before going to your treatment part. This is very, very important for your daily practice also. So I end up with my today's session. Thank you all of you for being patient and listening to me. And apologies if I have missed or said anything wrong. And thank you so much.